Hello to anyone watching this. In the great best game ever debate, I think my vote has to go to Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition because it ticks every single box I look for in a game. It has replayability, a big roster, a big amount of enhancements for that roster, and just generally the most content I've ever seen in any game. And even though I've only got like half the playtime of games like Mario Kart or Animal Crossing on Switch, I just think Hyrule Warriors holds such a special place in my heart for me just wanting to clear through as much as I possibly can in as little time as possible, rather than stretching it across multiple years. But just like any other game, it is absolutely not perfect, and there are several little nitpicks that I just wish that they worked on before releasing the game. And I think the reason that these weren't addressed is mainly because of Fire Emblem Warriors, which I don't think is a bastard child of a Nintendo Warriors game. I just think that the fact that Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition was announced in January 2018 in the middle of Fire Emblem Warriors DLC cycle sort of led both to them to sort of crash out in terms of reaching their full potential as games. I really think Hyrule Warriors should have just had 6 months more in the oven and come out around the Christmas period of 2018, which would have obviously had it clash with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate a bit, but it's like Fire Emblem Warriors came out the same month as Mario Odyssey. I think they don't mind drowning these games as long as somebody enjoys them. As someone being me, obviously, I don't think anybody cares about these games as much as I do in this current year. So today I just wanted to go through all the ways I would just polish up Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. Not even to make it absolutely perfect. I'm not going to like chuck in every single possible character that they could have added, or every single stage, or represent every single game in the series. I'm just saying, if they had 6 months more in the oven, how could they tweak it to make it the most streamlined experience possible? Because I think one of the game's major setbacks is simply the fact that it was a carbon copy of Legends. It didn't change any of the heart placements, weapon placements, DLC character unlock placements as Legends, and I think that's the thing that holds it back the most. One thing before I start is that I'm absolutely going to talk about this game as if everyone in the world has played it. I'm going to talk about the game very casually. I'm going to reference things that if you've never played the game will confuse you a bit, but I'm still going to try and make it as understandable as possible. I'm going to make sure I have images that actually show what modes I'm talking about, and just make sure that anyone can keep up with this, because even I can't keep up with myself sometimes. I'm just so invested on how this game could have been that slight bit better. The first route I'm looking at is just if the devs had like an extra week to tweak all of the item placements in the game. Because all of the Legends DLC characters, weapons, leveled up weapons, heart containers, everything are all still kept to their DLC maps. This is something that base game Legends was really good at. It made sure that every single character was unlockable through the first adventure mode map, and then you unlocked all their leveled up weapons by progressing through all the other different maps. And I think if they just took the time to shuffle everything again, make sure that every character had 1 or 2 hearts in each map, every character's level 1 weapon was in the first map, level 2 in the second map, just like in Legends. I think if they took the time to shuffle it like that, make every DLC character more worth it and more part of the gang, I think that would have gone a long way to make the progression of the game feel a lot smoother. Another problem with the Legends DLC characters is that they never got their own costumes, which was fine back in Legends because none of the Wii U DLC characters got costumes, so why should any of the Legends characters get costumes? But now they're part of the base game, it's sort of weird that they just stick out without having any costumes. And I think an easy way to fix this and give more content to every character in the game is if everybody just got a dark costume like Link does. Because the fact they brought back challenge mode, but it doesn't have any of its unlockable costumes still a part of it. All of those costumes got moved to the rewards map back in Legends, and they're still in the rewards map. I think it would have been cute if, for beating the battle challenges at A rank with a character, you unlock their dark costume. It's just something simple to add, because everybody already has a dark costume in the game as an AI, but only Link ever got his costume for some reason. Which obviously that's somewhere in the mix of the adventure mode maps. Just pluck that out, chuck it in the battle challenge. I'm sure nobody will miss not having a reward on Square I6 or whatever of the first adventure mode map. But moving on to the things they could have done with 6 months more development, I think the biggest hole of content that this game has is a Skyward Sword themed adventure map, because the other base games represented each got a DLC adventure map back in the Wii U. Both Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask got maps, so why not add in Skyward Sword as well? I'm not trying to say that they would have used extra Skyward Sword content as a big marketing push for the game, like with the Wind Waker content in Legends. I'm just saying it would have been cute to represent it the same way the other base game games were represented. Although to be fair, the 6 months later release would have been around the same time that Aonuma was overheard saying that Skyward Sword HD was in the works. So even if it was nothing concrete yet, it would have been cute to make sure that Skyward Sword got all the representation it could in this game, so that a couple of years later, people would be like, oh, Skyward Sword, I remember that, as clouds. And yeah, if they did add a Skyward Sword map, I think it would just be the map of the clouds from the game. I don't think they'd be able to get away with any of the land areas being a proper adventure mode map. I think a good gimmick for this map would just be to let you travel mostly anywhere. I say mostly because they probably block off the Great Vortex in the top left of the map, like in Skyward Sword. Yeah, I think apart from that, having no barriers would sort of replicate how it was with Skyward Sword. You could fly to anywhere in the sky that you want at any point of the game. In terms of item cards, I only have 2 really big ideas. The first would be a speed boost, which, like in Skyward Sword, would let you travel across the sky faster. But in this case, it would just let you unlock 2 tiles in every direction rather than 1 after you complete a challenge. So obviously you need to go back and complete the tile, but it would still let you get from left to right or up and down faster. And this would work well with my other idea for an item card, which is pumpkin soup, which you'd only be able to obtain from the bottom right of the map in the same tavern as Skyward Sword, and then you need to go all the way to the top left where the Thunderhead is, where Levias is waiting, and as soon as you give him the pumpkin soup, he'll open an entrance into the Thunderhead, similar to maps like Gaholant Island, and then you'll be able to access the last few tiles of the map where Ganon would obviously be waiting, and then you'd be able to finish the map there. As for the other item cards, they don't really matter, they can be whatever, presumably a lot of projectiles since it's all in the sky. And as for the actual challenges themselves, they can also be whatever. Like, I don't really mind the repetitive nature of any of the challenges. I just take what I can get and just have fun with them no matter what they are. I would, however, resent this map's existence if it didn't have costumes, especially for the Legends DLC characters, because including the Dark versions, that would get them all up to 3, which just feels like such a rounded number for them to have, considering where they are in the game. Although, if it's only 16 costumes like the other Legends DLC maps, not this has to be the same sort of quantity as that, but if it is just 16, obviously I'd only want to focus on characters with the least amount of costumes. Like, just don't give Link any more costumes. He didn't even need the Breath of the Wild one in this game, let alone the Game Boy Colors or everything else he got in the Legends DLC. And like I said earlier, with the heart container problem, I'd hope that the Legends DLC characters, let alone everyone else, could maybe get a heart or 2 spread out onto this map. I don't think anyone should get extra hearts, because the amount that Legends and Definitive Edition gave each character was perfect. I just think that if they made it spread out more evenly, it would feel a lot more natural in terms of progression. Now on to the part that people probably care about way more than adventure mode, the roster. And I wouldn't really think about adding an extra character to the game if it wasn't asking for it, because the character selection screen has just upset me the entire time I played this game. And the fact they didn't even consider adding an extra character, I've heard, is just baffling. So I would want to add one if they had that much more development time. And I could go through a list of who they could add, Skyward Sword, all that. Let's just go Groose. I mean, I didn't really think he deserved it. I was just like, oh, he's just a random side character, he's a bit annoying, why does he deserve a slot? But I actually played Skyward Sword, and I want to protect this man at all costs, including in Hyrule Warriors. So I definitely want him to be added above anyone else. In terms of the moveset, I don't really think about that. I just think if he has a sword, he'd probably live his absolute best life with it, and I'd hope that the Groosinator could at the very least be his special attack, if not a part of his normal strong attacks, because that would just be amazing. Maybe have his little cronies come in and help out from time to time. Sort of prove the power of the Switch in that way, because it's a more powerful console. Like if you had 3 of the characters, Bruce and his 2 lackeys, running about all at the same time, even if some little whale will be like, oh look, bigger technology, we can do more now. That sort of weird thing that I'm thinking about and the devs didn't think about at any point with this. And obviously, as I stated earlier, he'd get his dark costume, he could get one of the costumes from the Skyward Sword map, and especially spread his heart out through the entire game, even the story mode. Give like a epic little paralogue or whatever of Groose, just for no reason, just living his best life, following after Linkle, who's following after the rest of the gang. I think that would be hilarious, even if that's just to my own tastes. So yeah, that's everything. It's just, like I said, this is just if the devs had 6 months more time to work on the game, and it certainly isn't trying to depreciate what they did in terms of getting the game on the Switch, because it was so worth it to begin with. It's just, this is how I see games sometimes. I sort of look at the holes they can have, how they could be filled in certain ways. It's just sort of my own little mind running its mouth, rather than anything personal towards the devs. But yeah, if you have any questions or concerns about anything I've said today, do let me know. And just play Hyrule Warriors if you haven't. Or if you have, go back and collect a couple of the heart containers that you haven't got already. It's just such a fun game that I hope can get a proper sequel someday. It's not Age of Calamity. I only got 150 hours out of that game. It's actually pathetic. But anyway, bye-bye. Have a nice day.